By using collection, since they are nothing but collection of heterogeneous kind of data or heterogeneous kind of elements, assume in one collection, let's say data is like this. If this is a collection, it can be a list or set. And in this collection, if you are having some elements like this, a number or a digit 1 is one object, and then a character is one object here, and a string is one more object. Let me go for some string value. And then some decimal values. If any, some true or false kind of values. So since heterogeneous kind of elements are allowed into collections, let us assume a collection is having some kind of data. So in this situation, can we print them? And while printing, is there any concern? Can we print them? Yes, we can print them, and we get based on if you use set, then we get the unpredicted order as output. And if you are using list, based on the insertion order, we get the output. So there is no problem there. But assume whenever we are collecting some similar kind of data, our intention is to collect only similar kind of data. Say, for example, I am collecting some collection of some mail IDs. Collection of mail IDs. So I'm collecting a first mail ID and the second mail ID and third mail ID like this. So assume that there are some 10,000 mail IDs I have to collect it for some reason. So for some promotion purpose or for some business purpose, I'm collecting some 10,000 mail IDs. I'm storing into this collection. So by chance, because we are collecting some huge kind of data, so it is at a stretch. Within 1 hour, can we do this? No, normally it will take some 1 day or some days. So based on this collection process, by chance, at some point of time, I have used some mobile number. Instead of all mail IDs, somewhere I have used, these all are mail IDs, and somewhere I have used some mobile number. While collecting this data, it may be because of I'm discussing with my fellow employee, or I went for some break and then I came back. Then, so for some other work, I might have entered mobile number into this collection, possibly, or wantedly, or whatever it is. So if we do this one, do we get any error at the time of adding this mobile number object into this collection? Do we get any error? No, we don't get any error. So because this collection allows heterogeneous kind of data, it can be a mail ID or it can be mobile number format, or it can be some other name also. We may enter some string value called name as well, but still this collection will accept it without throwing any error to the program. Yeah. So now one fine day I am done with all my collection by assuming that I did perfect. I mean, I have collected only mail IDs. Then after this collection, then I have handed over this data to some of the client. I have given this data to some client. What this client will do with mail IDs? So they will send some business promotion, some mail ID, common mail. They want to reach out to the more number of people. That's the purpose of collecting these mail IDs. Then I'm done with, by assuming I'm doing it perfectly. Then I have given this back to client. What this client will do? Will they verify those thousands of mail IDs, is it correct or not? It's just unnecessary time for them. They are trusting us and we are doing our job and we are giving back to the client. So if this, the client has to check each and everything, then better client only should collect. Why they should approach somebody else? That's the reason. So by trusting this person, by this collection, the client is trying to send the mails to all. By using this mail IDs collection, the client is trying to send the mails to all. Will this operation of sending these mails will be successful or it will be a failure? It will be at some point of time because of some inappropriate mail ID, like name is there in this collection, and like mobile number is also there in this collection. So therefore, when this client is doing this operation of sending mails to this group of 10,000 mail IDs, the mail system will not work because there is some incorrect data is there as a part of mail ID collection, like this mobile number, like this name. So this is a big concern. Since collection is a huge container, so every time we can't go and check each and every element whether it's correct or not. Yes or no? So that is where some huge level of operations will happen, like some 1 lakhs of mails and thousands of mails will be collected and will be given the promotions. Like if Airtel want to promote it, what Airtel will do? So they have a collection of all the group of mobile numbers who their clients are there. Then they'll take the data and they'll send a common message. So this is what my new offer is going to come. And it's with one click of that send button, we all will receive a message onto our mobile numbers, whoever is under Airtel network. But will they check is each of the number is correct or not? No. When they are collecting only, they'll make sure that it's a proper collected data. Like in spam, we'll get so many advertisements from so many shopping carts or so many social media promotions and all. There also, do they check each and everyone's mail ID is correct or not? No, at the time of collection only, they'll make sure they collect a proper data. Otherwise, while entering only, it's throwing error is better than while doing some operations. When we are collecting this data, and if the data is improper or inaccurate, then at this time of collection only, if you are getting some error, this is far better. So that we can correct then and there itself. Rather, when we are sending these mails, at this point of time, if you are getting error, it's too worst. Because this much of time is wasted. Then finally the work is not happened as per the requirement. So that is where these collections have this kind of challenges. Collections has this kind of challenges where the data is not sure. We are not sure of a particular kind of data. But still we need all the purpose of duplicates data should be allowed in one situations and order should be maintained and duplicates are not allowed. Order should no need of maintaining. Then key value pairs should be stored. That all those properties are required at the same time. This one more extra thing also is required for the clients when it comes to the companies. That is where Java people underwent some major changes in Java version 1.5. From Java 1.5 to avoid previous types of errors or the drawbacks of collection. So what is the drawback with collection? The drawback with collection is nothing but there is no guarantee for the, I'll write no type safety. What's the meaning of this type safety? No type safety means it can be heterogeneous kind of data. We cannot make sure that it is a homogeneous kind of data. Even though our intention is to enter similar kind of data, that is some mail IDs, but since collections are nothing but heterogeneous type also, then at the time of entering the data, we don't get any error. So which is sometimes negative or turns against the programmer. So where if you want to some specific type only, then here is a concern. We can make sure one thing, but possible human errors always happens. So to avoid even that small possibility also, these collections are having this drawback of no type safety means not a similar type of data. Then what is the solution for this? So even for this collection, since it is a huge kind of data, then there is one more drawback. The second drawback is nothing but printing the elements. Printing the elements by using loops is a concern. By using loops, like what are the loops? For loop or while loop or do while loop. Because when we should use for loop? When we know the starting and ending. But in one collection, how many objects are there? How do we know? There is a huge count. Sometimes we'll be adding, we'll be deleting. All those operations are possible. Then how do we know that when there is a such kind of thing? That is where even along with the support of for loop and while loop and do while loop in Java 1.5, one more loop is introduced. What is that loop? I didn't write one loop here. For each loop. So for each loop is just used to print the collection elements. So without any initialization without any condition check by default. How many elements were there? Those elements will be simply printed. That is the purpose of introducing for each loop to avoid this drawback. Where we are not aware of how many elements, therefore we are not sure about from where to start the loop and where to end the loop. So that is a major concern. Therefore, to avoid these two drawbacks, Java underwent some major changes. In Java 1.5, there is a concept is introduced called generics concept. Collections having some drawbacks. For that, the solution in Java 1.5 is nothing but generics. What is the meaning of generic? So it is also an object only. Generic is also collection of objects But what is the previous drawback one? What is the drawback here? There is no type safety. Then what is the solution? Type safety must be added. Then here, collection of objects, this comes along with a type safety. It means at the time of creating object for a implemented classes, so we will mention what kind of object it is. Integer kind of object, or character kind of object, or string kind of object. Then when we are trying to add some other kind of objects, then immediately at the time of addition itself, we'll get the error, compile time error. Rather getting runtime error, it is always better to get a compile time error so that we can correct then and there. Yeah. So that is one solution. That is type safety is included in this generics concept, which is there from Java 1.5 version. What's second problem? Printing the elements. So for this, the solution is from Java 1.5 onwards, for each loop is used. For each loop is preferred to print collection elements. Again, don't get confused why I'm using collection. The meaning of generic is nothing but collection of objects only, but with type safe. That's where even during arrays concept also, so we discussed about what is the purpose of for each loop is. It is not a drawback because we can't perform reverse of the elements, or we can't perform odd numbered elements, even number elements. That's not a drawback. We have to understand correctly. That is the purpose of for each loop is to print collection elements only. Array is also one collection, but features. So from this Java 1.5 onwards, people started using only generic kind of things to avoid these problems. And what is this generic type? How do we declare? And what is the corresponding problem with us previous collections? We'll see one example. Then with the implementation of generic, so we will discuss about the implemented classes. That is to start with set implemented classes. Then we'll go with list implemented classes. Then we go with a map implemented classes. That's our next agenda. So let us see one program based on this. This is taken. Let me close the current file. To discuss all our collections questions, I'll go for a new project. I'll name this as collection. Is a project name. So inside this SRC, I'm creating a package. Collection example is a package name. So inside this package, let us go for one class with a class name says test. With the main method for execution, click on finish. What is one of such collection implemented classes? Can we use interface here? No. For which we can create the object. To collect a group of objects, we have to create the object for classes only, not for the interfaces. So here I'm using one of such, say hash set. It's a predefined class. I'm using object variable hs equals to new hash set. Object creation. Is it valid syntax? If the class name is hash set with h and s capital, is it the correct way of creating the object or any error? It's correct. What is missing? These implemented classes were present in which package? Util package. So for that, I'm going for import java.util. I'm going for a specific class name since we are aware of asset semicolon. Accepted. So this is mandatory for every class as to import java.util, and you go with star, performance is issue, then we go with the specific names. Then by using this hash set object, can we add elements? What are the most commonly used methods in every collection? Add all, then remove all, clear, retain all, then is it empty, contains a particular element or not. This we listed in the last class. All these were applicable to child interface called set and implemented class called hash. So here I'm going to use the hs dot add is the method. So you can see add and add all, two methods are there. So I'm adding one element called some number. Possible? Yes. Next, I'm using hs dot add of some character, say alphabet A. Possible? So here is an understanding of heterogeneous kind of elements. One is number, one more is character. Even we'll also add hs dot add of a string, say in double quotes Java. Yeah. How to print these elements? So I'm using system.out.println to print the colors object variable. What's object variable? hs is the object variable. So I'm using this hs here. So what should be the expected output? 100A. Are you sure? Then you didn't understand anything in today's class. What is set property? Unordered collection. Then do we get 100A Java or it's random order? Let me execute control F11. What's out we got? A100 Java. Now in between somewhere after A before Java, I'm adding one more element. So hs dot add of some 3.14f, some decimal value I'm trying to add, followed by semicolon. Accepted. So again heterogeneous kind of data. So let me execute control F11. Now where this is added? Somewhere at the last. Right? So can we predict the order? No, we cannot predict the order of this hash set. So because set is a collection of unordered. It's an unordered collection. So therefore, now can we print index based operations? Can we print first element, second element? No, not possible. Now here, to print these elements, I'm using something like for each loop. And then here, what is that? Object type. Next, a variable A, then colon. What's the collection? hs is the collection. So inside this for each loop, system.out.println, I'm writing the variable A and I'm appending, adding 2 to this, A plus 2. Accepted? Yes. Can we print this? Which order? Let me comment. So save, execute. So here A, Java, 100 and 3.14. So in this A, the elements are there. Now can we perform some arithmetic operation on these collections? Can we perform arithmetic operation on these objects? Yes or no? Yes or no? What is 100 plus 2 means? Some result. A plus 2? Some result. What 3.14 plus 2? And Java plus 2? Doesn't make any sense, correct? So that is where the problem, when we allow heterogeneous kind of elements, we cannot perform a common task like adding something or finding the length of the objects. Yeah. So we cannot find for all these things as a length. For strings, we can find length. What's the meaning of length on integer and character and all? Decimal? Doesn't make any sense, right? So this is where the concern is. So that is why these collections are not recommended to use, or we don't use them. We go for generics concept. So what is a generic? And before that, what are the sub properties of this set implemented classes, and then corresponding examples. Then we go for list and corresponding examples, map and corresponding examples. So to start with set on tomorrow's class. So here is a just example. I don't, as I said, we don't discuss much programming on this collection part with heterogeneous kind of objects, because we don't go with these things. We'll go for only homogeneous kind of data, that's with type safety. That how to create the object, what is the meaning behind it, for all those things we'll discuss in tomorrow's class. One last point from my end. Once we execute this, once we print this collection of set elements, let me comment and let me enable only the first print statement. In which way we see the output? With curly braces we got the output, or square brackets we got the output. But I said we represent set by using curly braces. But in output, which format we got? In square brackets. So this is a common thing for every collection class. As output we'll get in the square brackets only. But as a programmer, when we are writing as a set of elements, then we must use curly braces. Otherwise, you'll be not considered as a good programmer or good developer. It is not at all a proper way of representing when we don't use the curly braces to represent set elements. For a programmer representation with handwritten code, we'll use curly braces. Internally, by default, I'm giving you one point. Internally, by default, every collection class will implement one method called as toString method. ToString is a method, will be implemented by every class. Therefore, we get the output in this square brackets only. Even though it's a set output, or even though it's a list output, we get the output in the square brackets because of this by default or predefined implemented method by every collection class. The method name is toString. Somewhere we discussed this toString, where exception object printing format. So with this, I'll conclude for the day, and tomorrow we'll continue with the set.